The Jurist Judy showed jurists transformed courtroom television programs. Then, following 25 years of presiding over courtroom programs, Judge Judy herself disappeared. Nevertheless, Judge Judy did not abdicate. She restarted and commenced a completely new endeavor. Her current position and her accomplishments will astonish you. In February 1993, Judy Sheindlin, who would subsequently attain fame as the jurist on Jurist Judy, observed something. She was unaware that the observation she made would transform her life in an unforeseeable manner. In 1965, Judy successfully completed the New York State Bar examination. Immediately, she entered the corporate sector and served as a corporate attorney for a cosmetics company. Nevertheless, an issue arose. After 2 years, she recognized that the position did not provide her with the sense of fulfillment she sought. Therefore, she resigned and chose to dedicate her complete attention to her children, Jamie and Adam. Subsequently, in 1972, she resolved that it was appropriate for her to resume employment. But she sought something that would provide her with fulfillment rather than cause her frustration. She learned of a position as a prosecutor within the New York family court system through an acquaintance and chose to submit an application. Judy was regarded as highly remarkable and was subsequently employed. Judy quickly gained legendary status, and her resilient attitude led New York Mayor Ed Koch to appoint her as a criminal court judge in 1982. By 1986, she was promoted to the position of supervising justice in the Manhattan Division of the Family Court. Her approach to justice was characterized as stringent and occasionally severe. However, Judy would invariably dissent. Nevertheless, it was this approach that garnered her fame. And that notoriety prompted Heidi Getlin to instruct her spouse, Josh, to compose a piece about her. Josh, formerly associated with the Los Angeles Times, authored an article on Judy and characterized her as a woman committed to ensuring that the judicial system functions in the best interest of the public. That article significantly benefited Judy by helping her attract the attention of Kay Switzer and Sandy Spreeman, who were employed by Rebel Entertainment, a talent management agency. They presented Judy to CBS, and CBS subsequently featured her in a segment on 60 Minutes. The audience greatly appreciated her performance during the segment, and Judy immediately gained widespread recognition across the nation. Recognizing her rising popularity, Judy chose to capitalize on it. Therefore, she authored a book titled Don't Pee on My Leg and Tell Me It's Raining in 1996. Subsequently, Judy departed as a family court judge with a record of presiding over more than 20,000 cases. What was previously unknown was that there was a specific cause for Judy's resignation. Her appearance on CBS's 60 Minutes left the audience eager for further engagement. Rebel Entertainment and their team developed a program concept similar to the People's Court and presented it to CBS. They were enthusiastic about the concept, and consequently, Judy was invited to serve as the judge on the court program that would bear her name. She agreed to attend, but she did not genuinely enjoy the performance. She did not experience a connection with her partner. She desired the presence of another individual. But who exactly? Judy recalled an individual and proceeded to answer her telephone. In 1995, Hawkins Bird came across a news article regarding Judy's book, and he found it highly enjoyable. So, he composed a letter to her, informing her that if she required a bodyguard, he was prepared to resume his duties in uniform for her. When his phone called, he was already aware of his forthcoming response prior to her completing her statement. Thus, Judge Judy was established, and it transformed the landscape of televised court programs. Judy's rapport with Bird was profound. He was the austere bailiff who maintained emotional detachment from the case. He maintained composure when litigants sought to become confrontational and was a steadfast presence that endeared him to the audience. Supporters eagerly anticipated his declaration of order all rise as each case was about to commence. With such notable chemistry, Judge Judy was not merely the most popular court program. It was among the most widely acclaimed programs of all time. It is unfortunate how the situation developed between Bird and Judy, but that will be addressed later. Judge Judy consistently attracted between 9 and 10 million viewers on a daily basis. It even surpassed the ratings of the Oprah Winfrey program on several occasions. At a certain moment, the show held the distinction of being the highest-rated program across all daytime television broadcasts. What factors contributed to its emergence as the most popular show? We will address that matter shortly. The show's popularity continued to grow, reaching a point where Americans placed greater trust in Judge Judy than in all the justices of the United States Supreme Court. However, the audience perceived Judy as more than merely an ordinary justice. They regarded her as one of the most eminent icons in the history of popular culture. Indicates that programs seeking to attract audience interest consistently referenced Judge Judy. Although despite the public affection the show received, it still was not earning any daytime Emmy awards. However, despite this, Judy was receiving awards and honors from various organizations. Judy received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in February 2006 and was inducted into the Broadcasting and Cable Hall of Fame in October 2012. The accolades continued to accumulate, and in April 2013, she received an award from the Vice Presidency of the UCD Law Society. However, Judy was not content. She aspired for her performance to attain an accolade. She became concerned but had to reassure herself that the performances which received awards were either canceled or concluded. However, despite not securing a victory, Judge Judy continued to attract a substantial audience and showed no indication of concluding soon. However, in that same year, 2013, a significant event occurred. After 15 nominations, Judge Judy ultimately received its first Emmy Award, thereby initiating a surge of accolades for the program. It received the Emmy Awards once more in 2016 and 2017. Judy herself continued to receive accolades, and in 2014, she was honored with the Mary Pickford Award by the Hollywood Chamber Community Foundation at the 2014 Heroes of Hollywood event. Although, if you inquire with Judy, her most notable achievement may be her Guinness World Record awarded on September 14, 2015, for being the longest-serving judge or arbiter in the annals of courtroom-themed programming and for hosting the longest-running courtroom show. In addition to the accolades she received, Judge Judy was generating substantial income from the program. Her income was so substantial that it garnered widespread media attention. In early 2005, her annual remuneration was approximately $25 million. As a result, her net worth increased to $95 million, establishing her as the 13th woman on the Forbes list of the 20 wealthiest women in the entertainment industry. Although her wealth was not universally appreciated, some individuals regarded it as unjust for her to accumulate such wealth, particularly considering that judges responsible for daily court proceedings earned considerably less. This was not the sole criticism Judge Judy received. Additional critiques are anticipated in the future. Despite her affluence, Judy was fatigued. However, she took pleasure in her work and the influence she wielded over the audience. Therefore, when the studio decided to raise her remuneration to $45 million annually, it enhanced her enjoyment of her work even further. However, there was a certain aspect to this increase, nonetheless. The audience continued to enjoy the performance and appreciated that Judy provided them with a portrayal of the justice system that they would find compelling and authentic. The audience desired that litigants receive justice promptly, free from technicalities, procedural delays, counsel interference, or protracted appeals. Audiences admired her intelligence and referred to her as a human lie detector, owing to her decades of experience in family court. To them, Judy was a genuine hero of justice who defeated wrongdoers with decisive authority, in her words. Nevertheless, this sentiment was not universally shared. Although many admire her early Judge Judy episodes for their fairness and patience, some admirers contended that Judge Judy was not as exceptional a judge as she is often regarded. They have even inquired whether she is eligible for disbarment. They accused her of disrupting proceedings involving litigants, prejudging cases, or displaying prejudice against specific demographics. According to these critics, whenever Judy interacts with individuals relying on public assistance or earning modest incomes, she becomes rude and dismissive. However, what many were unaware of was that Judge Judy encountered a dilemma. As the seasons progressed, Judge became increasingly stern, and the forbearance she once had for litigants disappeared. The program yielded profits for those involved, and as a result, Judy did not take breaks as frequently as she ought to have. There was simply no opportunity for her to have taken any respite. The program compensated litigants to appear, and depending on factors such as their on-screen participation, they could receive compensation ranging from a maximum of $500 to a minimum of $100. Certain litigants received in excess of $250. This fee is incurred subsequent to the show providing them with Hollywood accommodations, covering all or nearly all of their expenses during filming. Even in cases where Judge Judy assigns fees, the defendants are not obliged to make the payment. The program performs that function on their behalf. Numerous litigants purportedly appear on the program and fabricate disputes in order to receive compensation. This is the reason why critics of Judge Judy have alleged that the program introduces entertainment rather than genuine authenticity. As litigants continued to arrive, Judy was unable to find respite, and in 2010, she contemplated retirement. However, she possessed an agreement set to expire in 2014. She stated her intention to resign following the expiration of her contract. However, long before that moment arrived, a dreadful event occurred. On March 30th, 2011, Judy arrived on set, and everything appeared to be normal, except that she was markedly fatigued. Judy proceeded with her day as if it were ordinary, but it was not. As they continued filming, the bailiff called the case, and Judy was listening to the litigants, although only the proceedings were underway. All visibility was lost. Judy had lost consciousness. She was promptly taken to the hospital. The physicians conducted examinations and determined that she had experienced a transient ischemic attack. Nonetheless, Judy persisted. Instead, she renewed her contract, received a salary increase that same year, and was recognized as the highest-paid television personality. Her circumstances were so favorable that, in 2014, she was granted a spin-off program entitled Hot Bench. Unbeknownst to her, this spin-off would place her in a difficult situation. Judy continued to administer her form of justice, and in 2017, she entered into another contract extension extending until 2021. That contract extension increased her pre-tax earnings to $147 million and also introduced additional issues, which we will address shortly. With that salary increase, Judy abandoned any thoughts of retirement and asserted that the only time she would cease working was when her audience lost interest in her program. She still felt invigorated and appreciated her profession, but she had an idea. However, she has not yet announced it and has commenced efforts to bring her idea to fruition. While developing that concept, Judy persisted in her role as Judge Judy. In March 2020, she announced what many admirers had feared to hear. While she was a guest on the Ellen DeGeneres program, she announced that the series would conclude on its 25th season anniversary. Nevertheless, her final days on the program did not produce the farewell she had hoped for. In 2016, Rebel Entertainment Partners Incorporated and its president, Richard Lawrence, initiated a multi-million-dollar litigation against CBS television distribution. He and his company alleged that CBS attempted to unlawfully deprive them of the earnings derived from the program, particularly involving their former employees, Kay Switzerman, who introduced Judy to CBS. Rebel asserted that CBS's payment of excessive compensation to Judy was the reason they could not afford to offer them a comparable amount. They even asserted that the program was not as lucrative as CBS attempted to portray it. Judy was entangled in this tumult of legal proceedings, and the woman who dispensed justice to others was accused of unjustly appropriating it from those who had assisted her. Judy and CBS were alleged to have failed to inform Rebel of other spin-offs due to their desire to retain the full proceeds without sharing them with Rebel. After many years serving as a formidable advocate and an even more resolute justice, Judy was not prepared to be disregarded. She responded to the allegations in her own defense. She accused Richard of excessive greed and of being dissatisfied with receiving over $17 million from her program. She even accused him of being a self-centered individual who, after their initial meeting prior to the show's commencement, neither contacted her nor initiated any communication. She justified the remuneration received from CBS by asserting it reflected the value she contributed to the organization. Did she genuinely contribute such significant value to CBS? The court concurred with her and, in 2018, formally declared that Judy had not been overcompensated and that she represented a valuable asset to CBS. However, Judy did not escape entirely unscathed. The court stated that she and CBS were obliged to inform Rebel of any potential spinoff. If you believe the controversy had concluded, reconsider your assumption. Because, similar to the Judge Judy program, there were many more twists to come. Rebel Entertainment and Richard expressed dissatisfaction with the court's judgment. They filed an appeal. However, CBS was exhausted by the ongoing legal proceedings. They had been broadcasting legal dramas about others for years, but wished to conclude their own swiftly. In 2020, they contacted Rebel Entertainment and finalized a contractual agreement. Rebel believed they had CBS in a favorable position and proceeded to pursue another lawsuit. This time, they were joined by Judy as a defendant. However, she had reached her limit. She did not intend to negotiate any settlement with Rebel and also filed a counterclaim seeking $22 million, accusing them of unethical business practices. The confrontation was underway, but Judy encountered an unforeseen circumstance. The court advised her to file a counterclaim against CBS if she wished to proceed with the case. Judy found herself at a pivotal juncture. She faced the choice of either advocating for the compensation she desired or remaining faithful to CBS. She prioritized loyalty and consequently lost her case. She exhibited no concern. The California Court of Appeal concurred with the lower court's determination that CBS did not violate any contractual obligations with Rebel. The court determined that CBS was disbursing the sums specified in their agreement to Rebel in accordance with the terms outlined in the contract. However, it was revealed that Judy herself was advocating for a contractual increase every 3 years. Therefore, she sought additional responsibilities despite experiencing moments of being overburdened. Now, she was able to relish her triumph, but it was short-lived. She faced another legal challenge, and this time, former associates became adversaries. K. Switzer and Sandy Spreeman's trustee, Jay Robinson, filed a lawsuit against Judy, CBS Corporation, CBS Studios, and Big Ticket Television. They asserted that, as former employees of Rebel Entertainment, they were entitled to royalties for their role in discovering Judy. They stated that without that discovery and ensuing introduction to CBS, Judge Judy would not have existed. This was not the first instance of the two filing such matters, and Judy was not perturbed. She characterized the case as mere background noise, and it was. The court found no validity in the case and dismissed it in 2021. Those were not the sole lawsuits in which Judy was involved. In March 2013, Patrice Jones, the wife of Randy Duth, the executive producer of Judge Judy, initiated a lawsuit against Judy. She accused Judy of acquiring her valuable cutlery and fine china through a conspiracy with her spouse. It was turning into a disorderly situation, and Judy returned the cutlery to Randy Dowett, who subsequently handed them back to his wife. Judy remained embroiled in several additional legal proceedings. And another noteworthy instance is the one in March 2014. A litigator named John Heyman utilized Judge Judy's likeness in several advertisements. A producer of the show observed this and promptly contacted the attorney, indicating that the use of Judy's image was not authorized. However, the lawyer disregarded this and proceeded to issue additional advertisements. Judy was dissatisfied with this situation and consequently initiated legal proceedings. She alleged that Heyman and his law firm utilized her image in television advertisements without her consent and conveyed the misleading impression that Judge Judy had personally endorsed Heyman's legal practice. However, Heyman was not willing to concede. He also countersued, alleging that Judy had defamed him and his firm. According to him, local television stations requested his participation in promotional activities to support Judge Judy's program, and he readily agreed. However, no one was convinced by that. And recognizing that he was poised to lose, Heyman contacted Judy regarding a settlement. He made a donation to her charity, and Judy withdrew the lawsuit. It appears that Heyman underestimated the resilience of Judy. Her resilience is the driving force behind her current position. Following the conclusion of Judge Judy's broadcast, Judy was not inclined to retire. What actions might she undertake with all that time? She had grandchildren who were now older, and rather than retiring to spend time with them, she collaborated with them to produce something. Prior to Judge Judy concluding, Judy had devised a plan. She aimed to develop a new courtroom program, a spin-off from Judge Judy designed to appeal across generations and resonate with with contemporary audiences. She is the creator of Judy Justice. To accomplish this, she required the assistance of a younger individual and chose to collaborate with her granddaughter. However, in an effort to attract a newer audience, she chose not to participate in the new program with Bird. She informed Bird that she was unable to afford his salary. This astonished Bird, who believed that, as a long-standing presence, Judy should have consulted him prior to making the decision on his behalf. The Bird was injured but acknowledged that it was time to move forward. However, the admirers declined. It would not be the first occasion on which Judy has engaged in such behavior towards Bird. She consistently refrained from regarding him as a friend and maintained a professional distance when the program was not broadcasting. Bird did not object to this, but the program secured the first Emmy Award. He experienced a sense of sadness. He and Judy did not even occupy the same row. He was seated 20 benches behind him. And when it was time to present the honor, Judy authorized another individual to accept the award on her behalf. Supporters observed this and were not prepared to permit her to repeat such an attitude again. When the new program Judy Justice premiered and viewers observed that their preferred individual was not serving as bailiff, they criticized Judy for her actions. Subsequently, the true reason came to light. Judy did not permit Bird to participate in the new performance because she sought an individual who could resonate with the contemporary audience. In doing so, she almost alienated her essential support base. Upon recognizing her error, Judy promptly retrieved Bird, albeit with a modification. She offered him the character of the bailiff in another spin-off series, Tribunal Justice. So, what is the current whereabouts of Judge Judy? She has transformed into Judy Justice and has grown even more prominent than previously.